Back again, and we're working on another neighborhood training session. This week we're going to work on part 2 of that section of North Falmouth to the east of 28A and the west of Route 28. That little section, I wanted to split it up as we come down 28A and 28, because it is an area that's on the moraine, and it is a neighborhood in that they share a lot of the same geology and topography up there. So just to kind of break it up, and they are all bounded in the back by Route 28, so they do have some common features. But without any further ado, we're going to swing right into 50 McMenemy Drive, which is our little, for this section, going to be our little test area for our travel distances. I try to pick each week, I try to pick a place that we have a travel distance to. And this is where we're looking at right here. We're looking at McMenemy Drive. But I will start off right up where we left off before. If you remember, we talked about the whole Dove Hill Road area, and then how this Crowell Pond Road looks on some maps, and even some of the water maps, to connect to Fernwood Road, which it doesn't here. And if you drive up there, you'll see. But now what I want to get into is this area here. We're going to go from the Curly Boulevard Rotary down to Thomas Landers Road. That's this week here. And so right here is, you'll see a sign on the side of the road that says Somerset Hills. This is the entry to this Rockledge Drive neighborhood, approximately 30 houses in there. Now this neighborhood here is particularly, I urge you to drive over many of the neighborhoods that we've been featuring in the training here, and I hope you're able to do that. But you find in each of the neighborhoods, some of them are very similar and some of them are very different. And I wanted to point out that driving through this Rockledge neighborhood here, just by looking at it, you'll notice some of the features, but when you drive in there, you'll notice things a little different. You see the houses. This is about a 30 house development, but you see that the houses are spaced far apart, as opposed to this Dove Hill neighborhood up top here, where the houses are pretty close together. Well, the Rockledge neighborhood, the houses are farther apart. The other thing is that you'll find when you go driving in there that they're not run-of-the-mill capes and ranches and colonials and gambrels. You walk in, almost each of these houses that are in this Rockledge, Boulder Circle, Fernwood Road area are all unique structures. They all, some of them look like they were built like in the 70s perhaps, where they have some different overhangs. It's kind of hard to describe, but they have some like clear panels over certain areas of porches and garages. But I urge you to drive up there and take a look at them. The other thing that I will point out, you'll see here, is that a lot of these folks have set their houses way back in the woods. So once again, we have some long driveways to deal with, and some obscured and hidden houses like this place here. I mean, you're just not going to see that house from the street if you drive up in the engine, and it's probably a pretty good size house. So once again, it's the importance of laying in if we do get a report of a fire up here. And here's this house here now. It looks like it has a dirt driveway. It looks a pretty good sized structure. It looks like it's under construction in this Google picture here, but as you'll see, it's a pretty long driveway, so it's going to take a little bit of work to get up in there. The other thing is, well, as you see, these houses here are pretty good size. Here's another one here that is very large here, long driveway up. big compound. There looks like a swimming pool or a tennis court set up in the back. And of course we have the divided highway here in the back here. So you drive up in there, you'll see it. Let me see if I can pull up the pictures for this neighborhood and try to do things in a little different order than we're doing it before. This should be the one, Somerset Hills. All right, so that's pretty obvious there. Let me see if I can find the other one here. I think this is the one here. Yeah, this is just one example of one of the houses that's in that neighborhood. And this house actually, if I can just come up here a little bit and focus out here. This house that we're going to be showing is down at the end of Fernwood. It's this house here right on the corner. It's just an example of one of the houses that was in there, but I wanted to just show it because I got to find out where I put the picture. All right, it's there anyway. Ah, there we go. Okay, so there's the house here, and I know in this camera shot it doesn't really pick it out. It picks it up as really being dark, and the picture really isn't that. But anyway, there's a mansard roof garage over here, but here's kind of like a deck bridge, or like a deck that's bridging the from the main house to the garage. And then in the front here you see all these like misted panels here. These are all glass panels, and I don't know if they're misted or whether they're just got a lot of shades on them, because they probably do let in a lot of light. But the roof structure, I don't know if you can really see it in these pictures, is kind of a mansard roof running around the outside. And it looks very, it's a nice house, but it looks very, very 70s type design. You see these types of wide, can't really see them on the camera shot here, but these wide windows on the side. Yeah, they don't show up that good, but they're pretty, pretty wide. So I just wanted to show that as we were going through. So that's basically that neighborhood there. And as we work our way down, as we work south, we come to Althea Road, which is just basically a loop road. And Althea has about 30 houses as well, but they're closer together, and they're single-family dwellings for the most part, branches, capes, and colonials. And I know that there are a couple of buildings in here, houses that have in-law apartments in this neighborhood. So, just something to keep in mind as if we go up there, whether it's for a rescue or whatever. We may go to rescue for one part of the house, but it's being an apartment in the bottom. Then the next road we come to that's a little tricky is that this Trickett Street and Tennecky Hill Road and development. We come in here, this will be Trickett Street. These houses on the very beginning of Trickett, I think they're duplex apartments that are right in here. And then as we come up, we end up getting into the Tennecky Hill Road neighborhood up here, and you see the houses are in a cul-de-sac arrangement here. But they also feature, they're a little close together, but the other thing that I noticed when I was up there is that they do have long driveways. Like this particular house here has a pretty long driveway coming up, and I think I have that in a picture here as well. I'll just pop it up real quick. I think this is the one here. Yeah, this is one of the houses that's in that neighborhood. And I just took a picture here. This doesn't really give a true capture of this driveway to this house, but what just got my attention to it is that the driveway itself just seemed to be pretty narrow. It seemed to be a couple 100 feet long. So, and it seemed to be a pretty good size structure there. Obviously, it's almost 3 stories high. So it's a little tight. This is probably the width of an engine to get up. So, just something to keep in mind as we're in that neighborhood there. Trickett Street and Tenakee Hill. The other thing that I saw when I was up in there that, as we go through this, I know some of the other areas of Wacoit and Hatchville, I pointed out some of the conservation areas. And the only reason I point those out is, well, for several reasons. Number one, we can get some folks that are hiking up in there that can get injured. We also, since they're going to be in conservation forever, they are going to exist as woodland forever. So there's a possibility we're going to have multiple acreage of woodland that is, we can have potential forest fires. And here we do have, wildland urban interface. These houses are pretty close. We do have a good size area here. I don't know the acreage, but as you see here, this whole area here, and I don't know, probably, let's say 20, 30 acres or so. It's always going to be woodland. It's always going to be scrubland. But this area here is called the Roscovics parcel. The town bought it for a few years ago, and so it is conservation land, and always be. But I wanted to point out the different accesses. We did have a fire a few years ago up on Caitlin Hills Road that got into this type of marine type of woodland, and actually got into the backs of 2 or 3 housing developments and got some people in those developments kind of nervous. So, we want to be aware that this is it. And that parcel of land is accessed. There's probably many ways to access it, but it's actually accessed over in this corner here. There's a little pathway and parking lot. But as we look through this, Google Earth, and if you're looking at it on your own time, you'll see there's many areas that you can get into. This is, Roscovics' house is right here. So Eddie's house is right here. So we can get access. It looks like there's quite a few dirt roads that run into that parcel as well. So that's something, that we know that there already does exist. Some parcels there. And there was a sign, just popped that up while I was taking a picture. I hope this is it right here. No, that's not it. Let me look. I think this might be it right here. Yeah. Okay, so that's a sign that you see on Tenakee Hill Road. And you can't really see it in this camera shot here, but it says Roscovics parcel. And it's a little parking lot on the side of the road. Okay. All right, so let's just zoom out a little bit here. And as we move down North Falmouth Highway, the other thing I wanted to mention, this section of North Falmouth Highway is a historic district from Thomas Landers Road on up to the Rotary, on both sides of the road. It's a historic district, and there are quite a few antique and historic homes along this area, and as we mentioned, in areas of Hatchville and over in Wacoit, we're talking about a different type of building construction, from something that was built in the 1800s as opposed to something that was built in the 1980s. And plus, we really want to make as much effort as we can to save any home. But in this particular instance, if we lose one of these homes to fire, it's not going to come back in its same form. The history and all that is going to be lost for a long time. So a couple of photos that I took just to deal with a little bit with the historic part is this building here. As we go along Route 28A, North Falmouth. Now this front part of the structure is older. This back part is newer. This has been added on. But this is an old 1800s historic home, but it's broken up into different apartments. So you drive by, there's quite a few different apartments in here. So that's something we want to be aware of. And the other thing is, I'm sure many of you are aware of, is Bourne's Farm. That is right across from Thomas Laners Road. This is a structure that was built in 1775 and has been restored, and it's definitely something we don't want to lose. And in the back of the parcel of property, it also abuts the railroad tracks, which are being converted to a bike path. So in the future, when we have the bike path all the way through, just remember this is an area, we're going to have to remember our little access points to the bike path, and this is going to be one of them. The other thing that I found when I was at Bourne's Farm, and it was a little bit of an interest here, and let me see if I can get it in the right order here. Let me say it's this one here. Okay. I saw this tank in the ground. I don't think it's anything anybody can drive over because there's this rock on the side and a couple of bushes, and we probably all would recognize it as a propane tank, an in-ground propane tank. But I just wanted to point that out for this Bourne's Farm, and there's all our valves, assemblies, and everything to our in-ground tank. A pretty safe way to store this product. The only thing is they do have a lot of social events and a lot of weddings and everything there, and this area behind this is used for parking. What's the possibility that someone could come along and drive over there, get a car stuck on top, break the valves, we have a leak. And just be aware that it's on the property as we go along. And there was one other historic home here, or older home, that I wanted to point out as we're driving along here. This place here, quite a few years ago, it was kind of falling apart. Looks like they put it back together a little bit. Still looks a little shaky, but obviously it is a historic home. The hydrant right out in front, so that's a good thing. But just keep in mind as we're driving down there and as we're responding to certain areas of town, this is why I break this all out into different neighborhoods, because different neighborhoods have different features to them, and as we get a call to an area, we should ring a bell into us, because it's our duty to know the town and to think, okay, that area has this type of houses, it has this type of construction, so forth. Okay, and we'll go down now and move south, and you'll see also here that many of the houses here on North Falmouth Highway are set off the road as well. Here's a house here that's off the road pretty well. And as we'll move down here, we'll get into McMenemy Drive, which McMenemy Drive has about 8 houses in it, and they are all pretty substantial, probably about 2,000 square foot houses. And here's one here that has a swimming pool and so forth in it here. But another thing that I found when I went into this McMenemy Drive neighborhood, and we were talking before about having this whole area here being woodland and part of the Roscovics parcel, that this McMenemy Drive neighborhood, and we were talking about wildland urban interface, all of these houses in McMenemy Drive have wood roof shingles to them. So every one of them, and it must be one of the features to their development. So just we do get a woodland fire, a wildland fire. These folks have wooden roof shingles, You see the embers, or we see embers from another house that are burning next door. Embers falling on these roofs here, we're definitely going to have an exposure problem with these houses here. And I will show you right now what we're talking about if I get the right picture. There we go. So there's just one of the pictures of, I think that's the house right at the very end of McMenemy Drive. And, very pretty home, but have the wood shingles on the roof. That'll perhaps cause us some problems at times if we have a fire. And now we're going to work on the Chambers Hill neighborhood. And it's called Chambers Hill for a good reason. It's a pretty good incline coming up. And this is the crown of a hill there. If we were looking at the topography, this is one of the highest points in the neighborhood, but these are all houses here that go around. And we'll talk about Chambers Hill goes straight up to this cul-de-sac, so don't be tricked and think it goes around. Chambers Hill goes right straight up into this cul-de-sac here, and then we have Streeter Hill runs around the outside all the way around, and then over here is Jenny Hill Road. So that's that neighborhood there. And these houses, once again, they're probably in the 1,500 to 2,000 square foot range. Some of them do have longer driveways here. One here that looks like it's got pretty substantial, about 100-foot driveway. And then we have Route 28 right in its backyard. I think this might be a little far away to get a hydrant connection if we did have something on the highway, but I suppose it's a possibility. Now the other thing that I noticed here, that this is the Billy Bourne's property here on 28A, and the folks have been around for quite a while. He does a little mechanic shop in the backyard here and runs a like a bobcat business. But then way in the back of the property here, it looks like there's a considerable collection of older vehicles in the back, and some cart paths and all that. So I know they've owned that property there for quite a while. But just know that this area here is wooded, and these houses here are back. If we get a southwest wind and we get a fire in one of the in here, that's going to blow towards here, and we're also going to have some exposures here. But also remember, we do have that access road in the back of their property, and as well here the Barrows, I believe it's Barrows, has a construction business run out of here with some front end loaders, backhoes, and so forth. So they have a little garage right in there. Then one thing I wanted to mention as we drive down, you'll see these houses here, and I'm not sure if anybody's ever been up in there for rescues or so forth, but there's 4 or 5 houses up here, and they are substantial in size, probably close to 3,000 square foot houses, the tennis courts, and they do have a good view over in the ocean, but over in Buzzards Bay. But they're very difficult to find and very difficult to access. There's not a street sign here. These are all numbered on North Falmouth Highway. I believe they're like 19 through 24, or no, not 24, 19 through 25 or something like that up here. But there's no street sign. There's no sign that says they're up here or anything else. In fact, this part of the road was kind of broken down at one time, so you wouldn't even think there was anything back here. To drive up and around the corner, and there's these beautiful homes that are up in the top. And I think that I have a picture here of the access to that drive here. Let me see if I got it right here. Nope, that's not it. I apologize for that. Trying to read in the dark here as I'm going. Okay, here we go. I think I found it. 94, here we go. Okay, so this is the access to those properties, as I was mentioning before. Now, there's really no sign, there's no features, it just looks like it goes into nowhere. It's right across the street. There's a sign. The people across the street from this road, I think they have a Healing Arts kind of sign out in front of their house that's right in front of the driveway. That's across the street. So go over here, and the only other feature that you can really notice is there's some boulders and so forth right here on the very corner here. But you go up here, and then you take this left and go up that hill, and then you get up into those houses. So we get called for that. That's where these houses are, and that's also good to know for the dispatchers as well, because you can look on your map and they'll show the parcels, but what are we talking about? Trying to give some people some hints as to where these places are. As we go up the street, this is Russ Ferreira's parents' house here, and their family actually owns these houses, I believe, over in here as well. And then we have this house here, and this, I want to point that out, this house here is number 1 North Falmouth Highway. And a lot of times we're trying to figure out where that is, and that's it. This is where North Falmouth Highway begins, is right here at Thomas Landers Road. West Falmouth Highway to the south, North Falmouth Highway to the north. And that's number 1. For those that are unfamiliar, which I think most of you already are, is that this is the Bourne's Farm property here. Bourne's Farm is here, Crocker Pond across the street, and here we have a parking area, and here's the future bike path running all the way down through here, the former railroad tracks. And we'll touch, I don't want to go too much on this side of the street, but there's just a short few places just to touch on. There's this new road in here, Burke Lane, that the houses were put in here, and there are quite a few houses here that have some long driveways to them. This house here obviously goes in and comes way to the back here, so you're not going to see that driving by. And a fire, and we'll just touch base quickly on the cranberry bogs. The bike path is going to go right through the center of them. I did notice some beehives and stuff along the edge here of the cranberry bogs. But the other thing I wanted to mention is these folks out in here that are that have their houses down right on Wing Pond, but their house, there's 2 houses way in the back here down this dirt road that we wouldn't normally notice. So we got to remember where those are if we get an incident down there. And we'll go over some of the other neighborhoods later on. But that is that kind of wraps that up there. I think we covered a few of the houses there, and while I'm right here, I'll go quickly to this map. We usually go to a couple of different maps as we go through. Well, this is just the town GIS map, and just showing us, basically how it even looks on dispatch maps. But all these neighborhoods, and even 28A, have all hydrants, so in their space, probably at least 500 feet apart. So we're in good shape with that. So we are, what is this thing doing here? Okay, I don't want to do that. Okay. So that's what basically we're going to show on this map here. Basically just that there is hydrants all on the whole section here, which is a good thing. And we did mention before that the Rockledge and that neighborhood are not connected, even though they look like it, even though they show it here on this map here for the dispatchers. Be aware that the that these, even though it shows it on some of these maps, these roads do not connect. The Fernwood and Kroll Pond Road, which is basically right in here, do not connect, and neither does it connect up over here either. It's probably on paper, but not in reality. So if you're giving directions or you're telling people to lay in from one hydrant to another, especially right in here, North Falmouth's coming down, dispatch tells them, oh, turn in Kroll Pond Road and grab that hydrant here and come up. Well, it doesn't happen. So, and so just something to keep in mind. The other thing I wanted to point out was, if we can get up to there, is the way the numbers are not particularly tricky. These houses are all, pretty straightforward, and the developments are all pretty straightforward. I did want to just zoom in quickly and show this Chambers Hill and Dove Hill neighborhood here and how those numbers are set up. And this is something, as we're, as you sit in the station, that you can take a look at and check this stuff out as well. You see the numbers come up. Chambers Hill comes up to the circle, Streeter Hill goes around the outside, and then Jenny Hill here. Okay, and let's go over to this map here. I know it's pretty complicated. I mean, it looks like a lot of different things on here, but I just wanted to show the water network throughout the whole area. The water main down Route 28 is brand new, so that is they probably don't have it updated here, but I know it's probably at least a 12-inch main, and there's 8-inch mains off to the side roads, and most of them put in within the 1970, I need to say 1976 and 1988 range, so they're all there. And the different colors on here, a pretty little feature. I wanted to click on that because that showed us some of the conservation land that exists. This is that Roskovic's parcel right in here, and these are the Bourne Farm down here in the corner. It goes across over into this area here, and then of course the bike path down here, and that's about that. Okay, and we'll get back. Just as a review, we'll just go over the we'll just go over this real quick here. Here we go. So this is this area here is characterized by the moraine, so we're looking at hills and rocks and gullies, and so that's about that. We have it. This is a mixed area. This house has historic and antique homes. It also has multi-family homes that have been converted from older homes, but it is mostly single-family dwellings, all wood frame. 1800, actually 1776 with the Bourne Farm, or 1774 with the Bourne Farm, on up to the current day. So we have a wide array of building construction. And the Somerset Hills, Rockledge Drive, Fernwood, Boulder, and Althea. Trickett runs into Teneke Hill, McMenemy, Chambers Hill, Streeter Hill, Jenny Hill, Burke Lane, North Falmouth Highway. We covered the number 1 North Falmouth Highway. We covered Bourne Farm. We covered the access to the 19, I believe, through 25 area, the Roskovic's land. Now the response is pretty obvious to anybody here. There's 23 and 24 in a still. First alarm is 23, 24, 21, 26. Medical's North Falmouth. The travel distances are not, really out of this world, obviously, because they're pretty close together. But one of the things that we begin to change, we begin to see as a difference here, is that the distance from Station 3 to Station 4, it begins to get to be the same. So we're converging there. So both engines should be arriving at roughly the same amount of time. Probably 23 will get there a little earlier. So just keep in mind, other times we talked about North Falmouth waiting around for another engine to come. Here's an area here now that we're going to begin to have both engines arrive simultaneously. So there maybe have to be some communication as to who is going to get there first, who's going to grab the hydrant, or who's going to become the second engine in. and so forth. The distance from headquarters is 6 miles, so we're talking about 8 to 10 minutes before that engine arrives or the ladder arrives. Duty officers should be arriving there pretty quickly, but in that aspect. And then if one of these stations is out, where are we going to get manpower from? Well, we can get it from Station 5. It's over 6.5 miles away, a little bit longer than headquarters, but not that much farther. And Woods Hole is going to be over 8 miles. So that kind of wraps that up for this week, and I hope you were able to get something out of this, and we'll look forward to working on the other parts of 28A and so forth in the coming weeks. And we've covered a lot so far of town, and I want to express I appreciate your tuning in and putting up with all this work, but I think it's been pretty valuable, and we're going to continue it, and we are going to eventually cover the whole town, but we've covered a good portion of the town so far. So thank you, and as I always say, stay safe and eat healthy.